Point number 15, ba'ithun bila mashaqqin, and resurrection of you all is just like that of a single soul. As a side point, in explanation of this ayah, the famous Mufassir of the Tabi'een, Mujahid, he said, meaning that Allah says to it, Allah says kun, and it is. Allah says be, and it is. Whether it is something small or a great deal. And whatever Allah creates or resurrects or like, Allah says be, and it is. Doesn't matter to Allah if it's one person or the whole of the creation. That doesn't create any difficulty for Allah. Then Shaykh Fawzan quotes the second ayah as evidence. وَهُوَ الَّذِي يَبْدَأُ الْخَلْقَ ثُمَّ يُعِيدُهُ وَهُوَ أَهْوَنُ عَلَيْهِ وَلَهُ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَهُوَ الْعَزِيزُ الْحَكِيمُ. Surah Rum, the 30th surah, ayah 27. With the explanation, He, Allah, is the one who begins the creation, who creates initially, and then He repeats the creation. He resurrects them. And that is even easier for Him. And for Him is the highest description in the heavens and the earth. And He is the Almighty, the All-Wise. Then Shaykh Fawzan said, so the people of Shirk, they denied the resurrection. They denied the ba'ath. They denied that after the death, Allah will raise those people back to life. They denied it. He said, holding it to be something far-fetched. Just as Allah said about them, قَالَ مَنْ يُحْيِي الْعِظَامَ وَهِيَ رَمِيمٌ. Surah Yasin, the 36th surah, ayah 78. That the unbelieving man will say, who will give life to these bones when they are crumbled away? He said, and Allah, the Perfect and Most High, said in response, قُلْ يُحْيِيهَا الَّذِي أَنْشَأَهَا أَوَّلَ مَرَّةٍ أو قُلْ يُحْيِيهَا الَّذِي أَنْشَأَهَا أَوَّلَ. Perfect and Most High. So the one who created them from non-existence, is He not able, even more so, to bring them back into existence? I mean, Allah created the people from nothing, when they didn't exist at all. So now they existed. And then they died and became bones and crumbled bones. Isn't that even easier for Allah to restore them? When in the beginning He created them from nothing, isn't it even easier now to restore them from the bones and make them living again? The Shaykh said, this is correct in accordance with the people's intellect, but otherwise analogy cannot be made between Allah, the Perfect, and His creation. So this is just stated as a similitude. وَلَهُ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى. And for Him is the highest description. Surah Rum, the same ayah, Surah Rum, 30th surah, ayah 27. For Him is the highest description. I mean, this matter here is mentioned as a similitude for the people so that they can understand, that people can consider and reflect that they came about from nothing. They were nothing before. They didn't exist at all. And then Allah brought them into existence and created them. Then isn't it even easier then for Allah to create them when they're now bones? They're at least crumbled bones. Will it not be even easier for Allah to recreate them? Shaykh Fawzan said, so this is a refutation of the denier. Allah the Most High said, and he quotes another ayah in refutation of these who deny the resurrection, وَنَسِيَ خَلْقَهُ. Surah Yasin, the 36th surah, ayah 78. And he forgets his creation. This disbelieving man, the one who denies the resurrection, he forgets his own creation. Shaykh Fawzan said, meaning, he forgets that in the beginning he was nothing. He did not exist at all. هَلْ أَتَى عَلَى الْإِنسَانِ حِينٌ مِّنَ الدَّهْرِ لَمْ يَكُنْ شَيْئًا مَذْكُورًا. Surah Al-Insan, the first ayah. Surah Al-Dahr or Surah Al-Insan, the first ayah, with the explanation, has there not come upon man a time when he was nothing mentioned? So this ayah goes along with the previous one. Shaykh Fawzan said, meaning, this man, he forgets that Allah produced him from non-existence. Then he said, so Allah will indeed gather together these scattered bones. And this Surah, ayah 25, with the explanation, and from Allah's signs is that the heavens and the earth are established by His command. Then, when He calls you with a single call, you will come out from the earth. And he quotes one more ayah, ayah 68 from Surah Az-Zumar, the 39th surah, ayah 68. وَنُفِخَ فِي الصُّورِ فَصَعِقَ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ إِلَّا مَنْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ ثُمَّ نُفِخَ فِيهِ أُخْرَى فَإِذَا هُمْ قِيَامٌ يَنْظُرُونَ. The ayah with the explanation, and then the horn will be blown, and whoever is in the heavens and whoever is upon the earth will faint and die, except whomever Allah wishes. And then it will be blown again, and they will be standing up, looking on. Shaykh Fawzan said, the second blowing is the blowing for the resurrection. And as for the first blowing of the horn, it is the blowing for the people to swoon and die, to faint and die. So the first blowing of the horn will be for the people to faint and die, and the second will be for them to be resurrected. وَنُفِخَ فِي الصُّورِ فَإِذَا هُمْ مِنَ الْأَجْدَاثِ إِلَى رَبِّهِمْ يَنْسِلُونَ قَالُوا يَا وَيْلَنَا مَنْ بَعَثَنَا مِنْ مَرْقَدِنَا هَذَا مَا وَعَدَ الرَّحْمَنُ وَصَدَقَ الْمُرْسَلُونَ. Surah Yasin, the 36th surah, ayahs 51 to 52, with the explanation, and the horn will be blown, and then the people will come out from their graves, going quickly to their Lord. The unbeliever will say, who has taken us out from our place of sleep? And the believer will respond, this is what the Most Merciful promised, and the messengers spoke the truth. Shaykh Fawzan said, so Allah indeed has power and ability over everything. And this contains a refutation of the unbelievers, those who say that Allah is unable to give life to the dead and to return them to life. And he quotes the ayah again, another ayah. Allah the Most High said, أَيَحْسَبُ الْإِنسَانُ أَنْ لَنْ نَجْمَعَ عِظَامَهُ بَلَا قَادِرِينَ عَلَىٰ أَنْ نُسَوِّيَ بَنَانَهُ. Surah Al-Qiyamah, the 75th surah, ayahs 3 and 4, with the explanation, does man think that we will not gather his bones together? Indeed, we are fully able even to put his fingertips together. And he quotes the ayah, يَوْمَ يَخْرُجُونَ مِنَ الْأَجْدَاثِ سِرَاعًا كَأَنَّهُمْ إِلَى نُصُبٍ يُوفِضُونَ. Surah Al-Ma'arij, the 70th surah, ayah 43, with the explanation, on that day, the day of resurrection, they will come out from the graves, hurrying, as if they are racing to a finishing post. Shaykh Fawzan said, so this is the power of Allah and His will and His wish. Nothing causes Him to be incapable. Nothing makes Him incapable. However, it is just that some of the people, some of the creation, they draw analogy between Allah and His creation. And so therefore they hold that it's far-fetched that there will be any resurrection. Because the person thinks, in his view, that's something impossible. And he doesn't look to the power of Allah. And he doesn't give due worth to Allah. He doesn't judge Allah he doesn't judge Allah's power as he deserves. And this is a case of ignorance with regard to Allah, the Mighty and Majestic. From the people, the unbelievers, from their Shaykh, that's where the Shaykh finishes. The unbelievers, they look and they see the scattered bones on the earth. How can these ever be brought back together? I think it's impossible to put these back together. There never can be a resurrection. So they're forgetting Allah's power over everything. So that's where we'll end for today. And the next time, inshaAllah, we'll start with point number 16. And as we said, we'll ask questions on the text as usual, inshaAllah, and we'll also ask who has memorized the text so far. And just very briefly, we'll give, as the brother advised, we'll give a quick summary of what we had today. Firstly, we had that Allah created the creation without any need of them. Rather, He created them so that they should worship Him alone. And He has no need of that worship either. Rather, they need it. And the evidence for that is Surah Al-Dhariyat, the 51st Surah, ayahs 56 to 58. Second point, obviously I'm just summarizing, taking some points, not everything that we've had, go through the whole lesson again, just taking some points out, some of the main points that we had. Second point is that Allah provides for the whole of the creation. And that is not something difficult for Him. And is providing for the whole of the creation throughout time. It does not diminish what He has with Him. And the evidence is the Hadith Qudsi of Abu Dhar. Hadith reported by Muslim. Thirdly, that Allah causes the creation to die. Not because He has fear of them. Not because He wants to relieve Himself of them and of their unbelief. And by their unbelief they don't harm Him. Rather they harm only themselves. But rather Allah causes them to die in accordance with His wisdom. Because this world is going to finish and end. Whereas the next world will not end. Fourthly, we had the point that death is something real. It's not just an absence. It's not just an absence of life. Death is something real and in existence. And the ayah was given as evidence. Ayah from Surah Al-Mulk, خَلَقَ الْمَوْتِ, that Allah created death. So that proves that death is something created, something in existence. Fifthly, that Allah will resurrect the people after they have died and passed away, that the people will indeed be resurrected. And this is something easy for Allah. Just as it was easy for Him to create them from nothing in the first place. And neither this nor anything else causes Allah to be incapable. And we had a brief mention of the two blowings of the sur, of the horn that's held by the angel. The two blowings of that horn, there will be a blowing, and nafkhatul ula, the first blowing of the horn, which will mean the death of everything, except what Allah wills. And the second blowing will be the blowing of the horn for the resurrection and for the people to rise up from their grave.